Hello, darling. You must be the handsome Mr. Dawson. Yes, of course. I am Miranda Lakeview, but you could call me Lady Miranda. And I see your children are here. Grand. You must be little Grace, is that correct? Of course, look at that beautiful little smile. And you, little man, you must be George. Pleasure. And, of course, the beautiful Chloe. Yes, you must be 16 or 17? Beautiful. What a wonderful family you have here, Mr. Dawson. And there's no Mrs. Dawson, I presume? Oh dear me, I'm quite sorry. I can't imagine how traumatizing that must have been. Well, of course, I am more than just a housekeeper and a nanny. I'll be here for you no matter what. If you need anything, just let me know. And, Mr. Dawson, is this the accident that you spoke of in your letters? Oh, of course. Of course. I kept your back injury in mind and I set up your room downstairs. So if you just take a right down the hallway, it'll be the first door there. And your study. Of course, it's the next door down. And I am afraid there is quite a nasty bit of paperwork for you to fill out. You know, just liability papers. Oh, no bother. And you seem like you're a very busy man, so I won't bother you unless you ring your bell. Of course. Don't worry about the luggage. The children and I will take care of it. Yes. Sure. It would be grand having tea with you later. I'd love to get to know you. But first, I want to get to know your children better. Yes, of course, dear. Pleasure meeting you too. Alright, children. So, there are some ground rules here that are very important. Safety is very important in every single household. Don't you agree? Of course. And this household is no different. Actually, it's going to be even more strict here. This place is huge, and there are so many places that you could trip and fall and break your sweet little necks. We don't want that happening now, do we? So, rule number 1, no running up the stairs. And that is for you too. And Chloe, I hope you will help me enforce these rules for the children. Yes, of course, darling. Now, what is rule number 1? No running on the stairs. Perfect. Now, rule number 2. This applies to every one of you. I command that you do not go outside after dark. Come straight in when you see the sun set. Now, this is very important. This manor has a long, dark history, and many children have gotten lost in the woods. Some were never found, and some were found in pieces. Of course, I never want any of you to meet that fate. Of course not. So, no going out after dark. The forest is very treacherous, even in the daytime. So if you do decide to venture there, make sure that one of the adults go with you. And the 3rd rule. Upstairs, you'll see you're on the 3rd floor. There's a door painted red. I do not want any of you going and trying to open the door. Do you understand? I know children can be quite curious. But this is where your curiosity ends, is at that red door. Do not try to open it, ever. It's very dangerous. Yes, quite a lot of machines in there, you could get your little fingers caught. So do not try going in there. Now listen, children. It's very common for you to hear noises around that are frightening. You might hear whisperings or humming and singing. I like to say that the mansion sings for me sometimes. And I want you to get used to it. So please do not run around at midnight to my room crying because you hear tapping noises. You will hear it every night. Now, of course, if you need us to tuck you in, your sister, Chloe, can definitely do that, can't you, Chloe? I feel that you've had to tuck them in for many nights. Yes, since the tragic loss of your mother, I can see it in your eyes. You have a maturity that most young girls your age do not possess. You two are very little lucky monkeys, you know that. Of course. Now, please leave me and Chloe to discuss things further. Remember, what is the first rule? Good. Second rule. Not after dark. Very good. And the third rule. Do not try to open that door. Save your souls. All right, thank you, children. Now, you two, George, please be good. Take care of your sister. Watch out for her. Grace, be a good girl. All right. And wait, kids. School starts on Monday. Don't forget. So I hope you haven't forgotten all of your maths. All right, run along. All right, Chloe. Let's have a little talk, shall we? Now, Chloe, there are many rules that I left out, but of course they get distracted, I can tell. And I want to make sure that you help me guide them. There is the attic that I did not mention, and I want you to be very careful going there if you decide to. Please do not, but of course, curiosity always kills the cat, doesn't it? There you will find my daughter Faye. She lives in the attic, yes, but she keeps to herself. And she also may be the source of some of the banging at night. She does like to smash her head against the walls. So please be respectful of her, and if the children ask about the attic, make up some ghost story for them. Thank you. Now please, no questions about Faye. We can talk about it later. For now, I want to talk to you about some basic things, such as sewing. Do you know how to sew, dear? I do quite want to talk about this hideous dress that you are wearing. Oh, your mother made it. Well, I presume that she didn't know how to sew either, and that you learned from her. Yes, of course. No, not at all. I would be happy to help you. And let's make our way into the kitchen, darling. Yes. Follow me. As you can see, darling, the kitchen is quite the mess, as it always is, sadly. But as fast as we hire chefs, they leave like that. So, I thought that it would be a wonderful idea to teach you how to cook. Yes, of course, if I cooked all the meals, then I wouldn't have time to look over everything else in the house now. You could call it free labor, but it's more like taking care of your family, like you seem to do very well. So, you see, there are pots on the stove, and there are very many spices in the cabinets. Of course, Mrs. Belmont. I knew her quite well, actually, before her untimely death, but she cooked a lot in this beautiful place and left all of her recipes scattered around. So, if you are so lucky to find any, do take a note and learn from them. Yes, she made the best shepherd's pie I've ever tasted in my life. The Belmonts? Oh, you're curious about them, of course, as are most of the residents that come here. Well, what I can say about them is they were quite an odd couple, and their children, well, they were quite wonderful too. But, of course, there's always some type of tragedy that happens in this house. And unfortunately, it all started with them. However, the children are quite lovely. Yes, they didn't survive either, of course. But, well, I shouldn't say more, really. Please. It brings back some painful memories. However, I can almost feel her presence sometimes. Mrs. Belmont humming through the hallway, and her husband tinkering away in his workshop. Now, moving on, child. Let's not get distracted here. What do you know to make in the kitchen, of course? Oh dear. Who cooks in your family? Did your mother never teach you? Your father does. But often too busy, of course. He's, what, a lawyer? Yes, of course, so he must not have time for his precious little children. How sad and unfortunate. I can tell. They all come crying to you. Isn't that right? They come and cry on your shoulders. But whose shoulder do you cry on? Of course, nobody. Do not fear, though, darling. I am here. Of course I'm here for you. Whatever you need, darling. But first, I want you to go and look through this kitchen, clean it up. I'm sure you've washed a dish in your life. And after that, come over to me and I will talk to you about dusting the place. There are leaves that fall down through the ceiling quite often, especially during this time, and they all must be swept up. However, I often do not have the time to do so, and all the other housekeepers have left. So, if you do not mind joining me in the activity, how about after that we can have tea together? I seriously do not believe that your father will have tea with me, but I believe that you will. Correct, darling. And then after that, you can go and tend to the children, and I'll start dinner. Of course. But starting tomorrow, you will join me in the kitchen, and we will go through it together, okay? It was grand meeting you, darling. Now, I have some business to attend to. If you need me, I'll be in the attic, but please do not bother me. Yes, of course. I will be there, and at 3 o'clock we shall go and have some tea together. All right, darling. Well, I hear something calling me, and I need to go attend to that now. Yes, of course. Sorry for my haste. I apologize, child. But please, do not worry about sounds or anything you might hear coming from the attic. Yes. Toodaloo, darling. Yes, of course. Oh dear, you poor things, look at you. Oh, are you so frightened? Oh, poor things. You're so pale, both of you. Okay, tell me what happened. Okay, slow down, slow down. Of course, there's so many different sounds in this house, it's so old. Yes, this house is definitely older than I am. So it's practically ancient, isn't it? Now, I want you two to relax. Everything's okay. Believe me, I won't let anything happen to you. Yes, of course. Now, what do you want to do in order to get to bed? You want a song? Do you want me to brush your hair? Maybe not you, George. I know you don't really like me touching your hair. Well, I suppose I could read you a story. I know whenever Mum did that, it always made you feel better. Yeah. Well, I want you to relax and just settle into this creaky old house. I know it's very different than what we're used to, but I know we'll make it work out okay. It does smell like dust everywhere, doesn't it? Well, why don't you take your minds off of that and decide what story you want me to read? How about something nice like Cinderella? I know you love Cinderella, right, Grace? But again, George, of course. I think you would object to that. I don't know, something nice. Hansel and Gretel, you want me to read you a scary story? Well, I think it's scary. It's a little frightening, don't you think? Really, you both want me to read it that bad? It was Ma's favorite, wasn't it? She'd always do the little voices. The witch voice, you know. She'd always make it sound so scary. Well, if you would like me to, then I'll try the voices too. Okay, this is your book over here, isn't it? Okay. Let's see. Which page is it on? Do you want me to start in the middle? I know You two don't like the beginning that much. It's a little boring, isn't it? Well, I agree. Let's see. You want me to start with where Hansel and Gretel are going to the witch's house? That's where it gets a little exciting. Okay. Let's see. Okay, are you ready? Alright. It was now 3 mornings since they had left their father's house. They began to walk again, but they always came deeper into the forest, and if help did not come soon, they must die of hunger and weariness. When it was midday, they saw a beautiful snow-white bird sitting on a bough, which sang so delightfully that they stood still and listened to it, and when its song was over, it spread its wings and flew away before them, and they followed it until they reached a little house, on the roof of which it alighted. And when they approached the little house, they saw that it was built of bread and covered with cakes. I bet you two would love that, wouldn't you? But that the windows were of clear sugar. We will set to work on that, said Hansel, and have a good meal. Oh, remember, they hadn't eaten in a very long time, so they were very hungry. I will eat a bit of the roof, and you, Gretel, can eat some of the window. It will taste sweet. Hansel reached up above and broke off a little of the roof to try how it tasted, and Gretel leant against the window and nibbled at the panes. Then a soft voice cried from the parlour. You sure you want me to try the voices? It might be quite dreadful. All right. Nibble, nibble, gnaw. Who is nibbling at my house? The children answered, the wind, the heaven-born wind, and went on eating without disturbing themselves. Hansel, who liked the taste of the roof, tore down a great piece of it, and Gretel pushed out the whole of one round window pane, sat down, and enjoyed herself with it. Suddenly, the door opened, and a woman as old as the hills, who supported herself on crutches, came creeping out. Hansel and Gretel were so terribly frightened that they let fall what they had in their hands. The old woman, page 10. The old woman, however, nodded her head and said, "Oh, you dear little children, who has brought you here? Do come in and stay with me. No harm shall happen to you." She took them both by the hand and led them into her little house. Then good food was set before them, milk and pancakes with sugar, apples, and nuts. Afterwards, 2 pretty little beds were covered with clean white linen, and Hansel and Gretel lay down in them and thought they were in heaven. They were pretty wrong, weren't they? The old woman, who had only pretended to be so kind, we knew that already, she was in reality a wicked witch, who lay in wait for children and had only built the little house of bread in order to entice them there. When a child fell into her power, she killed it, cooked it, and ate it, and that was a feast day with her. Witches have red eyes and cannot see far, but they have a keen scent like the beasts and are aware when human beings draw near. When Hansel and Gretel came into her neighbourhood, she laughed with malice and said mockingly, "I have them, they shall not escape me again." Early in the morning, before the children were awake, she was already up, and when she saw both of them sleeping and looking so pretty, with the plump and rosy cheeks, just like you two, look at your little cheeks. You made me lose my place. She said to herself, "That will be a dainty mouthful." Then she seized Hansel with her shriveled hand, carried him into a little stable, and locked him in behind a grated door. Scream as he might, it would not help him. Then she went to Gretel, shook her till she awoke, and cried, "Get up, lazy thing, fetch some water and cook something good for your brother. He is in the stable outside and is to be made fat. When he is fat, I will eat him." Gretel began to weep bitterly, but it was all in vain, for she was forced to do what the wicked witch commanded. Another page 10. You two still doing alright? You're sure that this isn't too much for you? Oh. Really? You're sure about that? Alright, I'll keep on reading. And now the best food was cooked for poor Hansel, but Gretel got nothing but crab shells. Gross. Every morning the woman crept to the little stable and cried, "Hansel, stretch out your finger that I may feel if you will soon be fat." Hansel, however, stretched out a little bone to her, and the old woman, who had dim eyes, could not see it, and thought it was Hansel's finger, and was astonished that there was no way of fattening him. When 4 weeks had gone by, and Hansel still remained thin, she was seized with impatience, and would not wait any longer. "Now then, Gretel," she cried to the girl, "stir yourself, and bring some water. Let Hansel be fat or lean. Tomorrow I will kill him and cook him." Oh, how the poor little sister did lament when she had to fetch the water, and how her tears did flow down her cheeks. "Dear God, do help us," she cried. "If the wild beasts in the forest had but devoured us, we should at any rate have died together." "Just keep your noise to yourself," said the old woman. "It won't help you at all." She's so awful. Early in the morning, Gretel had to go out and hang up the cauldron with the water and light the fire. "We will bake first," said the old woman. "I have already heated the oven and kneaded the dough." She pushed poor Gretel out to the oven, from which flames of fire were already darting. "Creep in," said the witch, "and see if it is properly heated, so that we can put the bread in." Well, once Gretel was inside, she intended to shut the oven and bake her in it, and then she would eat her too. But Gretel, good thing she was a clever girl, saw that what she had in mind and said, "I do not know how I'm going to do it. How do I get in?" "Silly goose," said the old woman. "The door is big enough. Just look. I can get myself in." And she crept up and thrust her head into the oven. Then Gretel gave her a push that drove her far into it and shut the iron door. "And fasten the bolt." Oh, then she began to howl quite horribly, but Gretel ran away, and the godless witch was miserably burnt to death. Such a terrible, terrible tale. You two know how it ends, don't you? Where Gretel and Hansel then escape and go about their business and bring back all the jewels and pearls and everything to the dad. You want me to keep on going? Alright, I can finish the story. There's only a few pages left. I see that you two are already getting tired, but I'll finish it for you. Gretel, however, ran like lightning to Hansel, opened his little stable, and cried, "Hansel, we are saved. The old witch is dead." Then Hansel sprang like a bird from its cage when the doors opened. How they did rejoice and embrace each other and dance about and kiss each other. And as they no longer had any need to fear her, they went into the witch's house, and in every corner there stood chests full of pearls and jewels.
These are far better than pebbles, said Hansel, and thrust into his pockets whatever he got in. And Gretel said, I too will take something with me, and filled her pinafore full. But now we must be off, said Hansel, that we may get out of the witch's forest. What a dreadful place this sounds like. Well, aside from all the cakes and goodies. When they had walked for 2 hours, they came to a great stretch of water. We cannot cross, said Hansel. I see no footplank and no bridge, and there's also no ferry, answered Gretel. But a white duck is swimming there, and if I ask her, she will help us over. Then she cried, little duck, dost thou see? Hansel and Gretel are waiting for thee. There's never a plank or bridge in sight. Take us across on thy back so wide. The duck came to them, and Hansel seated himself on its back and told his sister to sit by him. No, replied Gretel, that will be too heavy for the little duck. She shall take us across, but one after the other. The good little duck did so, and when they were once safely across and had walked for a short time, the forest seemed to be more and more familiar to them, and at length they saw from afar the father's house. Then they began to run, rushed into the parlour, and threw themselves round their father's neck. This man had not known one happy hour since he had left the children in the forest. The woman, however, was dead. You remember, it was the stepmother, I believe, and she's the one that made him take them to the forest in the first place and abandon them. So sad. But anywho, she is no longer there. Gretel emptied her pinafore until pearls and precious stones ran across the room, and Hansel threw one handful after another out of his pocket to add to them. Then all anxiety was at an end, and they lived happily in perfect happiness. My tale is done. There runs a mouse. Whoever catches it may make himself a big fur cap out of it. Okay, and it appears you two are very sleepy now. Like you can barely keep your eyes open. Do you want any water? Or I bet you just want to go to sleep now after reading that very long story. Well, oh, you have another story you want me to read? No, it's too late. It's short. Okay, you promise. And this book, where did you find this little book? It looks like it's made from leaves. What? Where did you say you found it? In the library. What are you two nosing about in the library for? You better not have stolen this from Lady Miranda, or else I think you'll get in big trouble. Let's see. There's a short passage, like a little poem, it looks like. And it's very short. I can read it to you if you would like. Alright. If this happens to be Lady Miranda's, though, we're all dead, aren't we? Okay. It says, a little witch was she, raised by witches 3. One made her laugh, one made her pie, one always kept a watchful eye. A great witch she grew to be. One day the witch was bored. She visited a lady and lord. A curse she placed, and madness they faced. Their death was their reward. Her happiness was restored. This book is very weird. Greed filled the young witch's heart. From the others she grew apart. With a red gem she became obsessed, that another witch possessed. To still it, she planned her part. Finally, she cast her spell, and all other witches fell. With red gem in hand, her dark journey planned. This tale she now can tell. How odd. It doesn't appear that there's anything else written in here. Just that old little poem about an evil little witch placing curses on people and not being very nice. Well, are you two ready to go to bed now? I think that it's past all of our bedtimes, don't you think? Especially you, Grace. Look how tired you are. You're making me want to go to sleep. I love you two so much. You know that. I know that it's hard being here and going to a new place and, well, after everything that's happened with us, with this family. I think we'll all pull together, okay? I know that Ma believed that we were always such a strong family. No matter what happens, I know we'll always be safe. And we'll always have each other, of course. You have your big sis to look after you. Oh, and yes, Lady Miranda, we have her too. She does keep telling us that, doesn't she? You think she's kind of mean. She's always been nice to you too. Well, at least today she's been nice. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Anyway, I think I should put your little book back that you found. We don't know who it actually belongs to. Well, of course, anyone could take it in the library. So I guess you're right, if it was that important. They should have hid it better. Okay, children. Well, I want you to have a good night's sleep. And if you hear anything else, just hold on tight to your covers and close your eyes really hard and go to sleep. I know Lady Miranda said that there are spooky sounds all throughout the house. So, don't be frightened. Don't be frightened. Alright, loves. I love you. I love you so much. And if you do get too scared, you could always come into my room, okay? But please don't bother me at 3 o'clock in the morning. Alright, I love you. Okay. You'll be alright. Good night. Hello? Is that someone there? I can see you. Yes, you there at the end of the hall. Who are you? The groundskeeper? I didn't know there was a groundskeeper here. Oh, well, what's your name? Thomas? Let me get a better look at you. Oh. You're quite handsome. Well, hello Thomas. My name is Chloe. And you look quite young to be a groundskeeper. You're 20 years old. Well, you do look even younger than that.
What are you doing wandering the halls at night? At this hour? It's what, past midnight? Well, if you must know, I was tucking in my brother and sister. They're scared of the dark and all the creepy noises here in this house. Yeah, there are a lot. So, where are you from? You grew up here. You grew up here. How odd. Lady Miranda never mentioned you. The only person she mentioned was her daughter, who lives in the attic. Yeah, Faye. Right. That's your sister. So does that mean that Lady Miranda is your mother? What? I'm so confused. What an odd person you are. So you're saying that Faye, who lives in the attic, who I assume is your age or younger, that is your sister? But Lady Miranda is not your mother, but Lady Miranda claims that Faye is her daughter. I don't understand. Well, why would Lady Miranda lie about that? That's silly. Also, why are you so far away? Why don't you come closer? Oh. Yeah, I do hear your cough. I'm sorry. I hope you get better soon. You're right, I wouldn't want to catch that. But you do look quite pale. Do you need something? Are you sure? Well, you never did say what you're doing wandering around in dirty trousers. Tending to the garden at this hour. The rose bushes. Well, I haven't seen you today, except for now. And you did give me quite a bad fright just now, too. I thought you were a ghost walking the hallways, or someone that broke in. How about you make it up to me? So tomorrow, I assume that you'll be working on the rose bushes. Why don't I stop by and visit you, and maybe we can have a stroll together? And you can tell me all about Lady Miranda's dark secrets, as you say. Lovely. Well, I'll make sure to look outside for you. Also, which door were you just going to go into? Not that red one. That's your room. No wonder Lady Miranda said that nobody goes in there. She just is keeping secrets then. She really is. Or you're just some strange boy wandering the hallways at midnight. Not quite sure who I can trust. She told me that there are machines in that room that we can get our little fingers caught in, I believe she said. But really it's just a strange boy. Well, Thomas, it was nice meeting you, although I would prefer under different circumstances. And don't worry, my room is just down here. Yes, well, it was nice meeting you. And I look forward to our chat tomorrow. Maybe we can have some tea. Alright. Well, I guess have fun going about your odd business, and I'll go about mine. Alright, Thomas. Good night.
Otto. Otto, wake up. Yes, turn on, Otto. The old witch just left, and you won't believe what I stole from her. Look. I stole her necklace. That means that we're so close, Otto. We're so close. Yes. Oh dear. What's the matter? Oh. These. How strange. I never thought that a machine could care about somebody. Well, Otto, you do not need to be sorry about this. You know, sometimes when I'm laying there and she's draining the blood from my body, I think it would be easier to just let go and let the pain leave with it. But then I remember what she did to Thomas. And then I see this, Otto, what I made you do to me. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you, Otto. So no, you have nothing to apologize for. We are so close to taking her down. And we will do it, Otto, because of how good you are. Yes. And you noticed my hand. I do believe that she has been poisoning me for some time now. These past few months, she's gotten more desperate, I can tell. Multiple times a day she comes to drain me. But I do believe she's trying to rid of me because there's newer, fresher blood. Those poor children that just moved in. Yes, but we will stop her, Otto. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Now, we must make sure that you're ready. Let me get the tools to fix you. And we'll be on our way. Now, Otto, you know I must wear my gloves. Especially since I don't want to touch you with my hand that's cursed. So, let me get a look at you. Speaking of hands, yours. What have you done to it this time? Really? Otto, what are you doing? Why do you detach it like this and mess up all the joints? I know you wanted a metal hand. But this was the only one I could get. Plus, she might get suspicious if I got 2 metal hands, wouldn't she? Alright. Now, no more detaching this hand. Give it here. Give me your arm or toe. Alright. Now, I must do some checks on you. Let's see. I must see if your pressure is still good in all your limbs. Give me your right arm again. Yes, there you go. Very good. And I'm going to check it. Flat again. Time to pump it. Alright, that looks good. Now let's do the other arm. Stick it out. Come on. We don't have all day. Good. Very good. Now, I must check the pressure in your other arm. Right, leg. Thank you for keeping me on track. Let us see here. A blockage. It does seem like there is a blockage. Oh, Otto, what have you been getting into now? Alright, I must scrub it. Keep it out. You naughty, naughty bot. Okay, now, shall we try it again? That's better. Very good. And now, the other limb. Yes, good. Very good, Otto. Very good. Now, I know this is your least favourite part, but I am going to have to make sure you have no rust anywhere. We can't have you creaking down the hallways now, can we? Alright. Stick out your arm. There's a little bit of rust right there. Very good. The other. A little more rust on this one. How odd. Alright. Very good. Now let me check your shoulders. Okay, very good. The other shoulder. Okay. Well, it does seem like you are pretty much in tip-top shape now. Very, very good, Otto. Let us see here. Time to polish you. Polish time. Yes. Very good. What a good machine you are. Yes. Your other arm. Nice and shiny like you love it. If you could smile, I believe you would be smiling right now. Now, what questions do you have? You must have some. The red gem, yes. I do wonder about that myself. Why? When I went and spied on her, I saw her using it in her rituals. Every ritual, in fact. I do believe that this encompasses all of her power. Or at least most of it. We must make sure that she never, ever, ever gets a hold of this again. If she does, I think our chance is lost. She'll be on extra high alert all the time. Right now, she just suspects that I'm crazy. And I am so traumatized by Thomas's death that I don't remember anything anymore. But she doesn't have that much power over me, does she? No. My, what a surprise she will get when she sees me and you destroying her. Oh, that Lady Miranda, she calls herself lady. It is not a lady, that is a monster, it's a hag. Yes, quite right. You're talking about the gem. Well, that is my extent. I don't know what it represents, but I know that it holds power, at least. The very least. And I don't know how much more blood she can take from me. The blood. Yes, why? Why? I believe it's for her youth or her power. But I see her mixing it in a potion and using that red gem. And she drinks it. How terrible and awful. But she drinks it. And she seems to look younger. That hag stealing the youth out of her victims. Oh, Otto. I am quite sorry that you will have to end your life this way too. You do remember how to self-terminate. Yes. After we have taken her down. There's no other option. I don't know how I could take you anywhere with me in the outside world. Assuming that I will still be alive when this is all over. Oh, Otto, how I have enjoyed your company. I do suspect, though, that she may be back soon to check on us. Or check on me. Oh dear, I don't know what I would do if she found out about you, Otto. We would have to try to do it right then and there. And the chance of that is so slim. You're right. We must help this family that's here. We must. But I'm leaving that mostly up to Thomas. As much as he can do. He seems to have already talked to the oldest girl. It's quite sad. I do think that they would be lovely together, if it ever really did work out. Not that it could. Not that Thomas. Not that he can leave here. Oh, dear me. What I would do to trade fates with Thomas. Yes. You know what he told me? He said that Lady Miranda told the new family that I was her daughter, her crazy daughter in the attic, and that the banging you hear at night on the walls is me, which is perfect. Otto, perfect. It means you've done a really great job. She thinks that it's me, and yet you're the one. You're the minion that has done everything that I've asked you to do to help me. Your existence. Why would you question why you exist, Otto? I do have an answer for you, of course, but... Oh, you have been a companion and a friend, and the tool to end her. That witch, Miranda. The witch, Miranda. She knows all living things. She can sense the living things. However, metal and wood, like this creaky old house, she'll never ever know that it's you coming to end her. If I just waltzed up in there, well, there would be no way. She would know, even without her magic jewel, wouldn't she? She would know. Yes, I do believe I do not stand a chance without you. That's why I've worked so many years to perfect you. How many years has it been, Otto? I was once a girl here, and now I am old myself, aren't I? How many years since Mom and Dad and Thomas and I moved in here, and Lady Miranda looking as new and young as ever, taking care of us. We shall do it tonight, Otto. Do you understand? I will talk to Thomas. Yes, I must tell him. We're doing it tonight. That way he has time to move the family out. I'll tell him to tell them anything. I don't know if the girl believes that he's not alive. I don't know if she believes that he'll never be able to be with her because he's not really here. Oh, Otto. What a situation we are in. I can't just leave. Oh, well. That's what happened when Thomas tried to escape with me. Oh, how she tortured him. Oh, Otto, this is all I can think about every day up here. Up here in this creaky old attic. And that's all I care about. Is getting my revenge. Getting revenge for Thomas and my parents. Oh, my poor parents. And the countless other families that she's taken. I didn't even know about. We can save them though, Otto. Even if this is it for me too. We'll have to do something, and we'll do it tonight. Yes. How do you feel? Creaky? No? Stuck? No? Can you move all of your parts right now? Let me see. Good. Sturdy, sturdy, sturdy. And your legs. Yes. Yes, very good, Otto. Now, we must create our game plan. Since we have this red gem, shall we destroy it together? I don't know if fire will do it, but certainly it can be crushed, can't it? So perhaps we crush it. But if we do that, we must immediately go to her. Yes, we should. I do wonder what would happen if we crushed it. Maybe, perhaps she would die immediately. Oh, how very unlikely. I do believe that is, but one can dream, can't they? I don't even know anything but this room. I don't even have dreams other than destroying Lady Miranda. But I do have to put on one last act. I do sense that she is going to arrive here soon, and you must hide again. Hide in your box. Yes, she'll be looking for the red gem. She thought I passed out, which I almost did, but I still had my heart beating when she left the room, which I think is something she wishes never happened. She wishes that my heart would stop beating. I don't know why. Perhaps so she could move on to the other children. So this attic could belong to another. But I must play the crazy girl while she's here. Yes, I must get into character. Oh, Otto, get in your box. Hurry. I do sense she's coming. And where did I put it? You must take it. You must take it. Yeah. Keep that gem with you. And stay quiet. You must stay quiet. Stay quiet. Do you understand, Otto? I'll tell you 10 more times. This is the most important part. She cannot discover our plan. She cannot discover our plan. Yes. And she will not discover it. Because we are so good, Otto. Oh, how I'm so happy. Oh, Otto. Yes. Yes, Otto. Now go in your box and hide whatever you hear. Don't look. Don't open up. I must play the crazy girl again. And I fear she's here again for more blood. But it is the last blood she'll ever take from me. Oh, Otto, go run along now. I hear her coming. Don't worry about me. This will all be over